Okay, so today we're going to be going over our water setup. We've been getting a lot of questions lately from new subscribers about how we actually have running water out here at our off-grid cabin. Another thing we're going to be going over is something that is going to be a huge upgrade for us when it comes to our running water. But before we get to this, let's actually dive into where our running water comes from. When we first moved into our cabin almost a year ago, this was a dry cabin, so we were hauling our own water in. We decided that we were going to put in a well, which is sitting right here, and our well ended up being 180 feet deep. We installed our submersible pump along with 100 feet of well line, and this is set up to run off our generator or our solar system. And as far as us having running water inside the cabin, you might have seen in some of our videos we have a sink which appears to be just a normal sink. You turn it on and you get water. We do not have any water lines running from this into the cabin. So how we get our water in there is we'll come out with the generator, turn on our well, and we'll run a hose into our cabin, and we have a 55-gallon holding tank in there, and that's gonna hold our water that we're gonna use inside the cabin. And from the holding tank, we have a 12-volt pump that runs off our solar system, and that feeds into our sink and our shower head. And in the summertime, when we do not have the wood stove going, we have a on-demand propane water heater. And that's how we get hot water to our sink, and it gives us hot water to our shower head. So we've had this water set up for close to a year now, and it actually has been working really good for us, but there is one slight inconvenience that we do have. The fact that our water comes straight from our pump out our hose, we don't have a pressure tank or a pressure switch. That means that as soon as this is running, we actually can't turn off the water. So if we're using the water and we're doing something with it and we're done, or we need to take a minute break, we just have to put the hose on the ground and the water is going to be running full blast. And it's kind of a waste of water, and it seems to flood areas, and it's really not that convenient for us. That being said, this upgrade is going to be huge for us. This was actually built by one of our friends in our hometown, and he sent this to us all the way up here in Alaska. So this is basically kind of a mobile, condensed version of a pressure tank and a pressure switch. So our hose from our well is going to come in here. It's going to come out this spigot here. This end's gonna plug into our generator, and this end is gonna plug into our well pump. So let's get it all hooked up and put the hoses on, and we're gonna test it out and see how it works. I'm gonna get the generator fired up, turn the well pump on, and we're gonna go over to the nozzle on the end of our hose and test it out. So ever since we've had this water set up, we have not been able to shut this water off while the generator's running. So when I hit this switch and turn this nozzle off, what should happen is that pressure switch is gonna send a signal to our well pump, and it's gonna shut it off. So let's see what happens. Okay, it worked. I just heard our generator kind of kick down in the RPMs. That means our well pump just shut off. Let's flip this on again and see if we got water again. Perfect, and I just heard the generator again kind of kick up in RPMs, and that just turned our well pump back on. So now basically all this water is coming from that small pressure tank. That's where we're actually gonna be getting our pressure from. So it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna be able to go around, water the garden, clean fish, and just be able to have kind of a normal hose you would have at a house. So I've got the generator off so we can talk a little bit more about this thing. Another thing it also has on it is it has a pressure relief valve here, and it also has a drain where you can kind of drain out the air when you first start this thing up, which is right here. So this is always going to be used in late spring, summer, and early fall. We're not going to be using this in the winter because of freezing. In the winter time, we have to put this hose inside the house when we're not using it, and this is also going to just be drained of the water and put in the storage shed until next spring. After living here for a while, we have really noticed that we do use a lot of water in the summer, so this thing is definitely going to come in really, really handy. So I am going to take the camera now, and Errol is going to answer a few more questions we get about our water.
Okay, like Eric mentioned, we have been here for about a year and we've had our water for a little less than that time frame. So far, we're really happy just to have the water and very appreciative of that because we do use it very much on a daily basis, and I couldn't honestly imagine not having it here. We probably plan to change our system a little bit in the future and see more what works for us, maybe make it a little more legit, but for right now, again, it does work for us and it serves all the needs that we need. So let's go ahead and answer some of the questions we get about our water. So first one we get is, how do we water the garden? And that's pretty simple. It's just by hand. We don't have any sort of special setup or anything like that. We're on solar, so it's just hand watering and it works out fine actually. I really like to do it because I get a chance to look at the plants and see if maybe certain ones need more or less water. Another question we get is, how do we shower? And we shower outside primarily. We do have the option to do it inside. It would be in like a tub type situation, so we generally prefer to do it outside. Even if it's -20, it's honestly not that big of a deal if you have warm water. 3 different ways we heat the water is by wood stove in the winter. We can use our tankless water heater, and we also have the option of letting water sit out and warm up by the sun when it is warmer out. And that kind of goes the same for laundry. So I can use the hot water by one of those means to go ahead and do laundry if I want to use warm water. The water coming out of our well is extremely cold, regardless of the time of the year. It's practically freezing, so it is ice cold and it hurts your hands very bad, but we've gotten pretty used to it. And lastly, we have gotten questions about drinking water. So when we first had that well put in, we did have the water tested. We had it tested for a pretty comprehensive check, and it is potable, meaning it is safe to drink. So we do actually drink that water. What happens on occasion is we may get some like silt or some sand in there, and we do have a filter that we can put on to the well, so we'll get cleaner water to drink, but generally that's not an issue and the water comes out crystal clear. On another note, we have a really awesome dinner planned for tonight, and we will catch back up with you guys a little later. We have some things to do around the cabin. Tonight we decided that we are going to cook a duck curry. We're really excited about it. It is one of our ducks that we processed, and we picked a whole bunch of veggies from the garden to use in this curry.
I've already got the duck started. I just got it cut in half. I took the backbone out and cut it down the breastplate, and then I just seared the skin on the stove real quick, and I'm just going to put a quick glaze on it. This is just brown sugar with some balsamic vinegar and a little bit of parsley in there. We're going to get this coated, and it's going to go into the oven, and it's probably going to take about 20 minutes till it's done.
Now that the duck's in the oven, we're going to go ahead and start cutting up vegetables and then go ahead and make the curry sauce first.
And what we're using in this duck curry is tomatoes, tomatillo, bell pepper, we've got some onion, jalapeno, we've got a huge cauliflower we got to use, and then we've got a bunch of herbs and some garlic.
So the first thing we're going to do is add sage, jalapeno, garlic, onions, and some coconut oil to a skillet for our sauce.
So we had this duck to cook, and we really, for some reason, a curry sounded really good. We don't have a lot of the ingredients to make a curry, so we're kind of just making do with what we got. As soon as we get these herbs and the onion and the garlic cooked down a little more, we're going to add the spices. We're going to do turmeric, paprika, cumin, and salt and pepper, and that's going to be our curry.
So we are going to add our coconut milk. And then Eric's going to add the cauliflower.
All right, then we're gonna cook these cauliflower down because they're pretty much the only hard vegetable we have in here, and then we're gonna add the rest of the ingredients to it. So this duck's getting pretty close. I'm just pulling it out of the oven, probably like every 4 or 5 minutes, and just doing another round of this glaze on there. And I think it should only go for, yeah, it's almost done. A couple more minutes. Okay, this is ready to go. Now we're gonna add our bell pepper, parsley, tomato, and the chives. All right, this curry is done, looking really good. Let's get it plated up.
All right, so it is time to eat dinner. We're gonna go ahead and eat this meal, and we will see you guys next time.